eternal, bright and fair, when the Savior birds shall gather over on the other shore, and the roll is called up yonder, I'll be there. When the roll...
I am one of the good things that came out from the streets. I was cheated as a growing child, but God elevated me above those that cheated me in life. The man, Abel Omoruyi, began all impossible journeys of his life to walk his way to stardom. Abel Omoruyi was born in Egba community, Unhuode local government area of Edo State on 20th June 1952, to a modest family of late Pa Omoruyi Zemige, who later became the Odionwe of Egba in ancient Benin Kingdom, and his mother, Madam Osaenhoi Omoruyi Zemige ni Efianayi. At a tender age of 10, young Abel was adopted by his aunt, late Edede Okumariawa, in Osasimioba village in Ovia Northeast local government area of Edo State. Young Abel Omoruyi had his primary education at St. John's Anglican Primary School, now named Imadiyi Primary School, Osasimioba, between 1960 and 1965, where he distinguished himself in classwork, earning him a leadership role in his class and was appointed the class monitor, an attribute which endeared him to his class teacher, Mr. B.O. Osage. In December 1965, Mr. B.O. Osage was transferred from St. John's Anglican Primary School in Benin City, and young Abel Omoruyi approached him to travel with him to Benin City with the intention to continue his education, a request that was obliged. Unfortunately, the dream to continue his education in Benin City was truncated, and his teacher, unable to resume classroom following the General Aguiyi-Ironsi military coup d'etat in January 15, 1966, which snowballed into the Nigeria Civil War in 1967. Mr. Usagi decided to open a grocery store at number 77 Apapava Road in Benin City. There, the young Abel was made a sales boy. The store became his workplace and residence.
Abel Iyare, he was there as my class prefect. He was very brilliant, very reliable, and very hardworking. By the time I was transferred to Benin, we decided to follow me down to Benin, and preferably to change his name from Williams to Abel. I gave him the name Abel, which is bearing till the last day of his life. So I felt that he should not be useless, and I opened a store for him in Benin. He was there as my sales boy. He was there as the manager of that store, and he was very, very reliable. Very, very reliable. There was no time he stole any of my goods. Before he died, I know what he was doing for me as his whole father. The last 2 weeks before he died, I was with him at the Iyare. I called him, I said, look, for a time I've not been hearing of you. He said, yes, say I've been very sick for the past 8 months. And I said, I would have loved you. I was so willing to see you. He said it was no time I would have been able to see him, because he just told me that he had a personal problem. He just described himself. He said from the chest downward, the blood was not floating well. Knowing that his brother was taking care of him, Mr. Rice was there to help him up. That was the last day we met. I felt so bad. I was only thinking, oh, Father. Every year, I know what it does to me. He shows appreciation. Right in my parlor now, you see all his calendar. At the end of the year, he send me rice, send me 100,000, send to my wife.
Close to the grocery store managed by Abel Omoruyi was a patent medicine store owned by late Mr. Francis Owe, a relation and former owner of Owe Motors. In the course of his visit, Mr. Owe noticed Abel Omoruyi and later discovered he hailed from Egba community, where his bosom friend Dr. Iyare Ifeanayi of blessed memory is also from. On his introduction to Dr. Iyare Ifeanayi of this handsome and intelligent young lad from his Egba community, residing on Akpakpava, Benin City, Dr. Iyare Ifeanayi eventually discovered that Abel Omoruyi was his nephew. This marked a joyous turning point in the life of Abel, as he found a father figure in his kind-hearted uncle, Dr. Iyare Ifeanayi. Abel Omoruyi was at all times an apostle of peace because of his experiences of the Nigerian Civil War. He remained eternally grateful to God that such horrendous experience did not shape his life negatively. Eventually, the young Abel was separated from his teacher and the grocery store business as everyone scampered for safety during the war, which made Abel Omoruyi return to the village and reunited with his uncle Dr. Iyare and his kinsmen from Egba community. After the Nigerian Civil War in 1970, normalcy returned and everybody returned to the city. Consequently, the young Abel Omoruyi took another decision to become a tradesman and entered into apprenticeship as a carpenter. But he did not align with carpentry. He quickly retreated and opted for driving apprentice. His uncle, Dr. Iyare handed him over to one of his drivers, Mr. Osage. It seems that Abel Omoruyi's destiny was synonymous with the name Osage Agbon. First, it was Osage the teacher, and now the trades master. Really? Osage Bel no Omoruyi Agbonore. God really sent Abel to his world of success. Abel Omoruyi remained in the apprenticeship under Mr. Osage, whose master was a Peugeot 404 pickup driver for Iyare Brothers Nigeria Limited until 2nd day of October 1976. As an apprentice driver, he followed his master and traveled to Lagos. Getting to Ibadan, all the passengers alighted, and while sweeping the van, the young Abel found a brown envelope which contained a huge sum of pounds sterling, apparently forgotten by one of the unknown passengers. As an obedient apprentice, Abel Omoruyi submitted the brown envelope to Mr. Osage, his master, without knowing the actual amount of money in the envelope. Mr. Osage seized the money all to himself. Years after, as commercial driver Abel Omoruyi and his bosom friend, Chief Tuesday Osegale, the Egwahide of Ekpoma, found themselves as officers of the National Union of Road Transport Workers in the Uselu and Iyare motor parks. In 1979, he became a field supervisor in charge of Iyare and Uselu motor parks during the tenure of the then president, late David Okeya-Ine, in 1979. Mr. Abel Omoruyi was elected state chairman of National Union of Road Transport Workers, Edo State Branch, in 1979 to 1993. He voluntarily resigned as chairman of the union without being overthrown. During the tenure, the president of National Union of Road Transport Workers, late Mr. Osunde, introduced a loan scheme in which members were given reasonable sums of money as a repayable loan to buy vehicles of their choice to improve their transportation business. Mr. Abel Omoruyi took advantage of this opportunity to borrow the sum of 3,000 naira on the 18th of August 1981. Sadly, while the loan repayment was still ongoing, the vehicle had an accident at Ohwaye Hill and got damaged beyond repair, an episode that could have frustrated him out of business. Rather than being deterred by this tragic setback, Mr. Abel Omoruyi moved ahead, paid off the loan, and took another giant step. This time, he bought a coaster bus on hire purchase from Ogoluwa Motors. Like the biblical mustard seed, Abel Omoruyi's transportation business blossomed and grew into a business empire that is today known as Iyare Motors Limited, which became incorporated on the 11th day of November 1996 as a limited liability company with fleets of brand new commercial buses, having close to 300 vehicles and parks in Benin City and Lagos State. The chairman, managing director of Amelsa Motors Limited, Mr. Monday Osayende, who is also the president of Egba Community Development Organization, said Mr. Abel Omoruyi inspired young transporters in the state and in Nigeria at large.
The late Abel Omoruyi is my uncle, is my brother, is my mentor. In the transport sector, I would say Abel Omoruyi, the managing director of Iyare Motors, motivated us a lot. He always comes around to encourage us and make sure we do the right things. One of his own philosophies is that if you want to be a good transporter, you should be ready to buy a new vehicle. Once you buy a new vehicle and you have a good driver, you will excel. When I came into Nigeria after the death of my late brother, I don't know anything about transport. It was Abel Omoruyi that taught us more about transport, about maintenance, and he said we should make sure, number one priority, the driver welfare. If you take good care of your drivers, your driver will take good care of your vehicle. In modern day transport today, you see a lot of transporters. They don't give rooms to their drivers to excel. But if you go to Iyare Motors, or Bijo Motors or Amusa Motors. If we sack our drivers, they will always come back. You know why? Because we give them free hands to operate. We don't drag luggages with passengers, message with passengers. No. A lot of my friends, they operate what is called logistics. If you do logistics and you are cutting the driver short, there are times somebody wants to go to Lagos and something is so urgent, the message is so urgent, can bargain with the driver. That is late for the driver. But because of my late brother, because of his experience, he always advised us to give the drivers a chance because he was once a driver. If you take good care of a driver, your vehicle, like I said earlier, your vehicle is safe. Make sure your driver has a little money. If your driver has a little money, you can send some to the wife. And once the home is settled, the driver don't have problem, and he will minimize the accident. So I can say my brother, in terms of transport, is a professional. Out of his own advice and his own encouragement, Bijo came to life after the death of my late brother. When Bijo children grew up, I gave them their father's business back. Amusa came out of Bijo, all at the work of Iyare. My younger brother is not here now. King's Moto also has a transport company. So where are we coming from? The route is coming from Abel Omoruyi, GP. He's a great man, and we will always miss him. So I can say he encouraged a lot of transporters to grow. So if we talk of modern transport, AC bus, I think is one of them that encouraged us to start it. And the era of AC bus has come to stay. Today, if you bring out a vehicle without AC, nobody's willing to travel with you. So I think he has done it. He has done his own part.
Daddy Abel Omoruyi, GP, the founder of Iyare Company, the philanthropist by excellence, an enigma, who is an example of true definition of grass to grace. Who started from a very humble beginning and became a very great figure in the state. I remember at a very young age, when I lost my father, he quickly filled up that space alongside with my uncle and guided the administrators at that time to set his standard in what emulated for the company until I rounded up school alongside my younger ones. The role he has played in the life of people, particularly myself, is also fascinating. As a businessman, he taught me the very basis of business in the transport industry. He always emphasized on the fact that as a businessman, you must be very prudent and pragmatic in your approach to achieving your goal. He always told me, and which has been a concrete factor for me in propelling the growth of the company, that you must reinvest the reasonable sum back to your business. I want to say you will greatly miss. Thank you for all you did. And God grants you eternal life.
The executive governor of Edo State, Mr. Godwin Obaseki, during his condolence visit, also confirmed Abel Omoruyi redefined the transportation business and contributed to the development of the state by removing many from the streets and engaging them in business.
He stood for many things. He stood for discipline, he stood for philanthropy, and he was the face of the Edo transport industry. He, in the tradition of Amel's Motors Edo line, he represented in modern times what those great companies did for transportation in Edo. As you know, because of the location of Edo State, of Benin City, it's a transport hub. But he is one of those who have been able to modernize the industry, bring in the discipline of managing fleets, managing drivers, and making sure that they move a lot of our people in safety across this country. At this point, they'll feel a huge sense of loss, but they should draw inspiration from his life.
Iyare Motors have some of the best drivers I've ever worked with. Their driver, they are peacefully and they drive safely on the road. They don't drive unnecessary speed. So these are some of the reasons why whenever I'm traveling, I consider using Iyare Motors.
Having attained tremendous success in the road transportation business, Abel Omoruyi decided to invest massively in agriculture. In 1988, he veered into oil palm plantation farming in Egba community, culminating in Iyare Farms Limited, in which over 300 hectares of oil palm trees have been planted. The farm has long started milling palm oil and has provided employment and livelihood to thousands of Nigerians from different parts of the country.
This is Iyare farm. We produce oil here, and the company, we have so many workers here. So many people benefit from this farm. Even we have customers all over the state. People come from far and near to buy oil with us. So this company has been existing for almost 33 years. So and the workers we have here is up to 200 workers here.
Not too long ago, Abel Omoruyi decided to invest in real estate development, where he excelled tremendously. This birthed Iyare Estate in Benin, Abuja, and Lagos of global standards and sprawling across several parts of the city with exceptional facilities for the benefits of the occupiers. Away from business, Abel Omoruyi was a lover and promoter of music. He was among the musical team of Prince Mochiko Bay troupe that waxed the album Orion Obo Ese New Nukbia, one of the hit tracks of Mochiko Bay.
Iyare, as a father and as a philanthropist as well, he helped most of the communities. Even though he does not belong to that community, they come for him for patronage. As a patron, he will help them, give them the advice, give them financial assistance. And he took after his mentor, Iyare, your blessed memory. I know quite right. He was the vice chairman to Iyare for the developmental purpose and for other areas too that they need attention. He's always there to assist his senior uncle Iyare. Iyare was a good man. There are so many people, as I'm talking now, who have been enjoying his scholarship. Iyare was a man of many paths. His passion for music was more than ordinary. He loved music. People come, he played. Now, as I'm saying that I was closer to him, he was also even a patron to my band. He was my fans, my big fans. He loved music too much. He loved sports too much. Even tennis, if you go to his compound on Sunday, the tennis player in those say we converge there, start to play that competition, start taking place in tennis house there. How many things can you talk about Iyare? They are too much. Iyare was too much. Lovely man. I wish him goodbye forever.
Besides music, Abel Omoruyi had a passion for sports. He actively participated in physical exercise by practicing judo and karate. In judo and karate, Mr. Abel Omoruyi rose up to attain the yellow belt position. As an artful dodger during judo and karate fights, he earned for himself the nickname 007 or James Bond, because his skills were likened to that of James Bond, the fictional character created by Ian Fleming, the British novelist, in 1953. Abel Omoruyi's love for table tennis was unimaginable. As an individual, his enormous contributions to the Edo State Table Tennis Player Association cannot be forgotten in a hurry. His financial contributions date back to 1992, when Colonel Mohammed Onuka was the military administrator of Edo State and could not pay the salaries of Edo State Sports Council workers for many months. Mr. Abel Omoruyi took up the payment of the salaries of table tennis players and their coaches. Some of such coaches are late Coach Stephen I. Williams and Coach Owolabi Austin Fatogun. The athletes that were paid monthly salaries include Kingsley Iwehoy, Taiwo Owen, late Victor Ewodare, Osaretin Iguma, and Stephen Iwehoy. Until his demise on April 28, 2023, some of the tennis players were still on his payroll. Apart from paying coaches and athlete salaries, he also sponsored so many coaches in their coaching advancement training courses. Some of the beneficiaries include Augustine Oriahi, Iguma Usaretin, Odion Atafo, Emeka Raphael, among others. Abel Omoruyi did not stop there. As a way of encouraging and promoting the table tennis game in Edo State, he made it a point of duty to assist the Edo State Table Tennis Players Association to sponsor annual tournaments, as well as help in sponsoring Edo State contingents to national sports festivals and other national competitions. He always provided monetary incentive to young promising tennis players to encourage them in the sport. Besides monetary incentives, he made his private tennis playing hall free of charge to all team players in Edo State, with weekly stipends to all tennis players, and availed themselves of the facilities irrespective of their gender. He provided ITTF table tennis boards worth millions of naira, which he replaced from time to time to encourage the growth of table tennis in Edo State, a gesture that earned Mr. Abel Omoruyi the life patron of Table Tennis Players Association, Edo State.
Mr. Abel Omoruyi, our life patron, Edo State Table Tennis Association. What he did for us when he was alive, he has been our sole sponsor in every competition. When there was no government support, he shouldered the responsibility. When we didn't have hall to train, when we are moving, parabolating from school to school, he assisted us. He built a table tennis hall in which he bought table tennis board worth of millions. ITTF, International Table Tennis Federation, board for international games and national competitions. When we go to training, he paid our transport fare day to day, and he's a good man, very humble. He takes us as his own family. Anywhere he's going, he wants us to be there. When he's going for any occasion, he invited us. We went together, and he assists us in our family problem. We do not believe that he has sponsored more than 6 table tennis players in university. And the current coaches we have now, there are about 7 or 8. He sponsored their coaching course. He made them to be what they are today. He has done a lot for us. We miss him, and I don't see how we'll be able to replace him. He has done so much. He's our father. He's our everything. As close as his place, when he say 8 o'clock, it's 8 o'clock. Very punctual and generous. When you have something to do, he didn't leave it all alone for you to carry, because he knows most of our problem. Once you give him invitation card, even though we not attend, no matter how it is, be sure of 50,000 or 100,000 he will give us. And in 1996, during Adamu then governor of Edo State, when he turned his back to sports and he said we should be paying our salary by ourselves. For 19 months, this man shouldered the responsibility of the Edo State government by paying us salary every month. He didn't make us to feel that anything was happening in the council. He paid us with table tennis player in table tennis association. We enjoy him throughout. He's so nice. We really miss him. May his gentle soul rest in perfect peace. In Jesus' name. Amen.
The late Abel Omoruyi is our father. He's our patron. He has done so much in those state sports commission, you know, developing table tennis in general in those states, even in Nigeria. Because if you ask me, I would say he has touched lives when it comes to table tennis in Nigeria. So many achievements, so many uncountable achievements. But we miss him. We dearly miss him because he's one man that has taught us how to be disciplined in our homes and all of that. Even our wives at home who fed it, our children, you know, his terms of fellowship has gone far. Not just our wives, our children too. As long as we play table tennis, that name Iyare Motors, that name is always sounding in our homes. So we miss him dearly. We were at Osun State playing this same table tennis right there. We were in competition. We had the news that our papa has gone, you know, it's late, and we don't know, everywhere we're just like scattered where we're at Osun State playing table tennis then, you know. That's when we had the news that our papa died, and we don't know, I don't know how to describe the loss. We miss him dearly, and we pray for somebody like that who is going to replace that person in this our society. We miss him, the vacuum he created in those states, table tennis. We pray that somebody should come and, you know, replace that vacuum for us, because we don't know who is going to come again to be like that Messiah. He has done so much in those states table tennis association.
Abel Omoruyi was a multi-talented personality. He was also a checkers or draughts game player. He sponsored many local and international competitions for checkers games players in Nigeria. He created a space in his company headquarters for checkers players. Till death, the players are always in session. He gives them entertainment and daily financial incentives. In all these games, his favorite was table tennis, as he sometimes engaged state champions and defeated them in the sport. In education, Abel Omoruyi is a lover of education. Despite his presumed handicap in education, Abel Omoruyi kept financial records and events accurately and was so prudent in financial management. He invested in education and encouraged children to study hard. As a member of excellence, Mr. Abel Omoruyi knew how to reward excellence in education, making him the patron of Abel Omoruyi's house in Iyare Ifeanayi Memorial Grammar School, Igba Heights, Igba, formerly known as Igba Grammar School. Over the years, Abel Omoruyi established a scholarship scheme for the overall best performing students in academics among the hostel students, where one Alice Idaho won the scholarship to study from secondary school to the university level and has since graduated from the university. He single-handedly renovated 2 hostel buildings in the school during the tenure of Mr. Vincent Ebuwa Ude as principal. Mr. Abel Omoruyi, as a publicity-shy person, most of his philanthropic gestures were carried out unsung. Therefore, they could not be comprehensively captured. Mr. Abel Omoruyi trained over 200 persons from primary school to the university level. He was truly a secret giver. He single-handedly built a 3-classroom, headmaster's office and a store building for Agwebo Primary School, Igba. In 2019, he re-roofed the building with aluminium long-span roofing shades and renovated the entire structure. Mr. Abel Omoruyi's attitude towards communal service and development was amazing. In 1975, he negotiated with one Mr. Idahosa, whose oil palm plantation was along Adumagbai Egba Osasinyoba Akure Road. Mr. Idahosa's farm constituted a hindrance to the expansion and construction of the important road project. He quietly dialogued with Mr. Idahosa and the road project was constructed through the farm. Again, in 1988, when the same road was to be tarred, Mr. Abel Omoruyi's father's house was to be affected. He asked for time to relocate his parents. Within 3 months, he erected a modern bungalow and relocated his parents to pave the way for road construction. Luckily, the road did not eventually affect his father's house. Shortly before his death, Mr. Abel Omoruyi solely embarked on the construction of about 1 kilometer road project across the Ezenosa waterfall site with concrete bridge across the stream and interlocking concrete brick wall way. Although the road project is still ongoing, over 50 million naira have been spent on the road project. In 2012, Abel Omoruyi took over the payment of electricity bills for Igba community from Dr. Iyare of blessed memory till 2019, when the idea of installation of bulk prepaid meters for Igba community was mooted and adopted. Before handing over, he paid the last bill of 8.5 million naira and 1 million naira payment for bulk prepaid meter. While on his sickbed, he made a personal donation of 200,000 naira to BEDC to offset electricity charges for the community. Some Igba youths nicknamed him as a Neka Negba, meaning the sea never dries, of Igba land, following his immense support for marriages and bereavement programs for the people of Igba community.
Our late brother Omoruyi was a good son of the soil. In so many ways, more or less Moses of our time now, by way of contribution to the development of Igba community. He has been of immense help to the community. Another area we feel his demands seriously is by Christmas time, he sends out gift, bag of rice with money for the members of the community to celebrate Christmas with sometimes 2 or 3 cows for our celebration.
Mr. Abel Omoruyi single-handedly paid up to about 10 million at a time for the recognition of Igba Light. Then every month he was paying up to 600,000 for light bill for the whole community in Igba. At a time, the NEPA now mandated us that every house must have a meter. He single-handedly buy prepaid meter, bulk prepaid meter in each houses, and going to the transformer, he also buy a bulk prepaid meter worth about 5 million. So every year he always do something that Igba that will make Igba have joy. So we cannot tell the history of Igba without mentioning Mr. Abel Omoruyi. Even the children yet unborn will come and meet the good things that he has done for this community. Before he died, he was the grand patron of Igba Development Organization. We miss him so dearly.
Since 2014, he volunteered his corporate head office boardroom, Benin City, for Igba Development Organization monthly meetings with free entertainment. Abel Omoruyi never forgot where he was raised, as he also paid homage to elders of Osasinyoba community yearly with bags of rice and cash gifts. This he did continually for over 3 decades.
Oh, what the escort walele? We made with the Payate. No, him, no, me. I know well, live on. He's my brother. I can see a nice man, a table. So my lawane, if I know you give me a remote, my lawa. Is it? Oh, I'm moving. My so 24, my so 28 bucks. no wabiogi ma bige do we guy na ke about 2 or 3 or we na be on a youth ni ruwa 10,000 wanu o wa ka gba o wa mo pizo popo ni dado o iwe ni fu na wo my ladian yan ti ladian na idu famia we everybody should be on the line e bien no ni a te yi ni yan ade de gbe beka reside o pa de gbe beka no o sun wa 1,000 I be fien we no hu na ibon na mo we mo be dai 1,000 no ri ni ye ni o kan we fi ni o dey about 17 years to 20 years no ade first week of the year January ni all day a calendar o Iyare motors obviously we na gmo here are man we no ga go ni here for area we ga calendar ni that do yeah, they my hero no my so bo yeah bu mi ade me do we no ruwa ibionia my ho wo okay ka body man because Abel were a great loss he ga no ni man
wo ga na wu ni okay ka body ma bo yo e mi na wo ma na te ru gi ma mama mi gbo ma mi no e gbe mi ni do la so ba so lo bo yo yo so ye e mi no mo bo fu wo e mo no be se ai go to ni ala ni adia be be no be lu be e sa bi je o so ni no sa lo bo no ke le ma be ri e no ri e mi afu be lo okay ka body ma am ko sa lo bo
a year like that he called me where I am. I said I am at home. He said I should come to Sasonba to come and carry a bag of rice. I went to his office. He gave me a bag of rice and gave me 10,000 and paid for a drop to come and drop me at home. That is how we have been doing it for so many years until we met on the 9th of January, this 2023. He said, I said, I was calling you, you know, they picked my phone. See how I lost that, my brother, that I cannot see him again. I don't know whether now my turn now, because we were 3 when my grandfather brought up. One died last year.
Mr. Abel Omoruyi, along with other Igba indigents, never took the security of Igba community and its environs for granted. His contribution to the Nigeria Police Force, Igba Police Divisional Headquarters, Igba, include the sum of 1 million naira donation towards purchase of patrol van, the sum of 1.5 million naira purchase of power generator set for police station and the rehabilitation of the police station, Igba. The donation of 1.5 million naira for the purchase of crime-fighting equipment for Edo State Vigilante Group, Igba Sector, among many others. On his spiritual activities, Abel Omoruyi has been supportive in the Iyare Memorial Church of Christ since inception. He trained 2 pastors for the church in All Nations for Christ Bible School, Benin City. He also made yearly donations to the church projects and annual Thanksgiving programs, latest being 1.5 million naira donation by Iyare Memorial Church of Christ.
I wish to use opportunity to pay this tribute to my uncle, benefactor, and leader, Mr. Abel Omoruyi JP, Chairman, Founder, and Managing Director, Iyare Group of Companies Limited. When the sun set on your life on the 28th of April, we were like they that dream. We felt that a big colossus has left our midst because you imparted greatly on the individual lives of all Igba people and every humanity that comes across your way. You imparted hugely on the infrastructural development of the Igba community. On a personal note, I cannot forget in a hurry how you stood by me all through my political career, spanning almost 20 years. When I had challenges, continuing with my political ascendancy within the community, you stood by me, you gave me support, you gave me hope. Indeed, we cannot forget in a hurry your immeasurable contributions to our communal well-being, which has continued even after your death. I want to wish you farewell, our great leader. May your soul continue to rest in the bosom of our Lord Almighty until we meet to part no more.
He was somebody that was very close to me, not just my brother, but my friend. I say that with the emphasis that it deserves. Iyare was a gift of life to me, a gift of life to me, to my father who has gone to heaven, to the Igba family and to the Iyare family. Anytime I did my father's anniversary, because I do it every year, Iyare will be there. Let's talk about community. He was always available for Igba, a defender of Igba, a lover of Igba. Anytime we are contributing money, he would do. The primary school was not having sufficient classroom. He built a block of classrooms. On song, he didn't stop there. When my father went to heaven, he was not paying the light bill of the community. Until he got to a point, I said to him, it is time for us to allow the community to be paying by themselves. Because the time will come where he will not be around, I will not be around, Monday Sayande will not be around. So the community should be able to stand on its own. So we now decided that the community should start paying his bill. I'm glad we did that. Because now that he's gone, the shock is there, but people are ready to face the future. And that is what we want to achieve, which we have achieved. That our people will be able to fend for themselves. I give glory to God for his life, the love that he showed us, the commitment he gave to the community. We are going to miss him. I don't think we can find anyone to replace him. Just like my father, he's irreplaceable. I pray that God will continue to bless his soul and to give encouragement to his children so that they can continue to allow the business to flourish. I didn't talk about his business because he did what is unimaginable.
Following his numerous contributions to humanity, Abel Omoruyi was presented with awards and honors. Some of such awards are honor as Patron Edo Golden Club, Lagos in 1984. He was elected as the first pro-tem vice president of the Igba Development League, now Igba Development Organization, in 1991 to February 1992. In 1997, Igba Development Organization presented a certificate of honor for his invaluable contribution to the development of the community. In 2001, he was honored and conferred Justice of Peace by the Edo State government. In the same 2001, he was honored and awarded as the most outstanding transporter by Independent Television and Radio. Same 2001, Edo State Students Association honored him for outstanding service to Edo State. Still in 2001, Edo People's Award of Honor in recognition and appreciation for philanthropism and consistency in transport business. Other awards presented to Abel Omoruyi were by the University of Benin in 2010 in appreciation of his supportive roles in students' lives. 2010, Edo People's Award in recognition of his commitment to the development of Edo State. In 2011, Police Community Relations Committee honored him as a patron, New Benin Division. In 2014, Igba Development Organization honored him as the Grand Patron of Igba Community. In 2015, Igba Development Organization Lagos Branch honored him for invaluable contributions to the development of Igba community and many others too numerous to mention. As an ideal husband and African man, Mr. Abel Omoruyi had a fair deal of marriage life. Till his passage to eternity on the 28th day of April 2023, he lived with his 3 amiable wives under one roof. They are Mrs. Esther Abel Omoruyi, Mrs. Josephine Abel Omoruyi, and Mrs. Esohe Abel Omoruyi.
Abel was a great man, a great philanthropist, a great father, wonderful husband. He was good to me. When I met Abel, it was love at first sight, no doubt. And when I came, I brought in 2 children, Uwaila and Osasuli. That was what actually drew me to him. When I brought my children from the States, he went to my parents' house and took those children. And he begged me to allow him to take care of them. Until the day he died, he still nurtured them, even as adults. I want to thank him for everything he did for me. I want to thank him for loving me. I want to thank him for loving my children. And I also want to thank him for the way he trained his children, from number 1 to the last born. The education was one of his passions. Training his children to university level, masters. The only ones that are not graduates are the little ones. And by God's grace, if given the opportunity, they will also attain that level. Although it's still very heavy in my heart to accept that I have no choice. I took solace in the fact that he's with the Lord, resting in the Lord. Because I also believe he was an angel among men. May your soul rest in peace, darling. May you rest in peace until we meet to part no more.
He had 16 biological children, 8 males and 8 females, namely Mr. Maxwell Unuagbon Abel, Clayton Osaitin Abel, Mrs. Ifweko Chris Ine, Mr. Ikmaosa Abel, Osaumese Abel, Miss Esohe Abel, Dr. Miss Ivie Abel, Mr. Ewosa Abel, Mr. Osagie Abel, Imatitikwa Abel, Osamwede Abel, Amadin Abel, Netete Abel, Iyare Abel, Ewawowohae Abel, Adesuwa Abel, out of which are 12 university graduates. Amongst them are doctors and nurses currently working overseas and lawyers. One is currently studying in an American university, while the last 3 children are in primary and nursery schools.
Our father's love for education was truly admirable. It is evident that he valued knowledge and understood the importance of education in his children's lives and how it shapes their future. He made sure that all his children attended school and got at least a first degree. As you can see from my siblings, those of us that are of the age have a minimum of a BSc. He never forced us. Our father never forced us with his preference. Instead, he encouraged us to pursue our desired field of study because he understood that personal choice will not only make us passionate about our chosen path, but also lead to self-fulfillment. I remember we had home lesson teachers in our early days of school. We got extra lessons from our lesson teachers just to make us excel in school. Our father's dedication to education reflects his belief that knowledge can inspire development and advancement. Education, as we all know, widens our perspective. It creates new chances and gives people the tools they need to face life obstacles. And we, the children, will always be thankful to our father for giving us this priceless gift by placing a high priority on education for us. This legacy he left behind will continue to help us strive. Once again, I say thank you, Daddy.
My dad's love for education was second to none. He wanted everyone around him to have at least basic education, regardless of who you were. My dad ensured that my siblings and I went to where he believed were the best schools. What we studied in university was a choice. It wasn't forced. I did not like school. I did not like primary school, secondary school. I used to cry a lot. But my dad made me understand the importance of education. My dad helped a lot of people when it came to education. It was his passion. his family members, his friends, the public. It didn't matter who you were. All you had to do was just tell him, I would like my child to go to school. I would like to go to school. That's all you had to ask. And my dad was always there to support. My dad had a passion for education. And I'm very grateful for all my dad did. And I'm very, very proud to be part of this journey.
Daddy was a great source of inspiration to us all. He was a father like no other. He provided for us, protected us, sheltered us, and gave us the best education we could ask for. Because of Daddy, I currently go to one of, if not the best, aviation universities in America. I'm currently pursuing my private pilot's license and my bachelor's degree as an aircraft maintenance engineer. Losing Daddy is like losing a piece of myself. I cannot believe, to this day I can't believe that Daddy is gone. It doesn't feel real. I hope to one day live up to his expectations and surpass it. I miss you, Daddy.
Sadly, Abel Omoruyi left behind two biological sisters, Mrs. Mercy Ifwehoy and Mrs. Rose Ediai. Abel Omoruyi also had 12 grandchildren.
I'm beginning to forget you. That old heartache is gone. I'm beginning to sleep at night. No more crying till dawn. I can hear your name mentioned now, and it brings no misery. I'm beginning to forget you, like you forgot me.
Oh, our dear Abel Omoruyi, 007. Can we really forget you, or can you really forget us? The Egba family you cherished so much. Oh death, thou art monstrous.
I'm so happy that it's over. I'm so thankful.
The Chronicles of Abel Omoruyi, the CEO of Iyare Motors Limited, was written by Mr. Julius Ehoviye Onarise on behalf of Egba Development Organization.
All I have to tell my people is to pick up courage. Those that love Iyare, Mr. Omoruyi, his admirers, his well-wishers. My message for them is that all hope is not lost. According to the Bible, we are going to meet sometime, someday, on Resurrection Day. Therefore, the best services we can render in absence of Mr. Omoruyi is to ensure we all come together, unite, and work collectively to ensure that his enduring legacies are kept, so that the children he left behind we enjoy the fruit of his labor, because Iyare and Mr. Omoruyi toiled day and night to ensure that he leaves enduring legacy. It is the right thing to do. It is the right way to go. I urge my Egba people, the Egba family, to come together and sustain all that Mr. Omoruyi stood for in his lifetime.
Rest on, our dear Abel Omoruyi, till that resurrection morning when we shall meet to part no more. Farewell, James Bond.
I'm so thankful to be free. I'm beginning to forget you, like you forgot me. I can hear the tune we love so well, and it's just another song I'm so happy that it's over, so thankful to be free. I'm beginning to forget you, like you forgot me.